All right, see if we can hold this meeting to order. It's 19:03. Martha, we can get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Commissioner Steve Massey.
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Mohinder Kanda.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jose Flores.
Present.
For the record, JT Mann, Jasneel Singh are not in attendance, and their absence are not excused. And also Chair Renee Mendoza is not in attendance, and her absence is excused.
Okay, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Does somebody have to make a motion, or do I? Okay, if we can get an approval for the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I can second it. And I'll second that.
Okay.
Martha, will the roll call, please?
Roll call. Alternate Commissioner Mohinder Kanda.
Present.
Commissioner Steve Massey.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jose Flores.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. The first 15 minutes of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the commission on items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Speakers shall be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will be asked to identify themselves and state the subject of their comments. If the subject of an item on the agenda, the chairperson has the option of asking the speaker to hold a comment until that item is called. Comments on the items list as a public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The commission is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the commission does not respond to public comment at this time. So we open the floor to the public. Martha, do we have anybody on the phone? Okay, as nobody's come up to the podium, I'd say that public comment is over. Do we have any written correspondence of any type we need to address?
Good evening, Miguel Galvez, Contract City Planner. There's no correspondence directed to the Planning Commission that I have to report. However, I do want to report that the City Council did receive a letter dated February 13th, 2026 from Michael Gallo Ranches regarding the general plan update, the preferred land use alternative study area. He's requesting an amendment to the general plan preferred land use alternative study area. I will discuss this a little bit further toward the end of the agenda under Director's Report. Other than that, there's no correspondence. I did attach a copy of the staff report that kind of discusses that item, but again, I'll review that a little bit further towards the end of the agenda. So there's no written correspondence directed to the Planning Commission this evening.
Do we have to do approval of the minutes? This is 13 and 10.
Yeah.
Did we approve 13 and 10, or do we
No.
have to go back and approve those?
No, we didn't have them last time.
We didn't have them last time.
So we have to go both ways.
Yes.
All right, so we're looking for the approval of the minutes for January 13th and February 10th of 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve both of January 13, 2026 and February 10th of 2026 minutes.
Is there a second?
Yeah, that's fine. Approve it.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Bassi and second by Planning Commission alternate, Mr. Kanda.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Alternate Commissioner Mohinder Kanda,
Yes,
Commissioner Steve Bassi,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jose Flores.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
Okay, conflict of interest declaration. Members of the Planning Commission will declare an actual or apparent conflict of interest before discussing or decisions about any matters which they or anyone with whom they have a close personal relationship could directly or indirectly benefit, or where such a benefit could be perceived. So does any of the members have a conflict of interest to declare?
I do not.
I don't know.
And no declaration from me either. We don't need a roll call for that, right?
No.
All right, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If discussions are desired, a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission may request an item to be removed from the consent calendar, and it will be considered separately. At this point, we have no consent calendar items, so we'll move on to public hearings. For public hearings, discussion of possible state 2025 Community Development Block Grant CDBG program funding notice of funding application.
Thank you. Once again, Miguel Galvez, Contract City Planner, City of Livingston. I'm happy to bring this item to the Planning Commission and actually to the community. The city has an opportunity to apply for community development block grant funds that are provided from the federal government through the Housing and Urban Development Department. These are passed on to the state, and the state makes these available to local communities. The state has issued a notice of funding availability. They issued it, I believe it was in December. They've amended it, and they are now requesting that applications be turned in by April 3rd. And so today's evening, this evening's public hearing is really to solicit comments on what type of applications, what type of programs, what type of projects the city can consider in applying for CDBG funds. So we have a quick PowerPoint. I know that we provided a staff report. I will review the PowerPoint here. Just a little quick background. Usually cities that have a population of 50,000 or more, including counties, they receive direct funding from the federal government. They are considered an entitlement jurisdiction. Cities that are smaller, like the city of Livingston, smaller jurisdictions do not have that entitlement, so we have to compete for funding. And we compete for funding through money that's passed through the state. And this is a response to the money that's been made available. So $27 million has been made available to the state of California. And the state of California, in turn, has identified many of these non-entitled jurisdictions, like the city of Livingston, that can apply for this funding. There's a maximum award, I believe it's $3.3 million per jurisdiction. And so it's kind of a competitive basis in a way. And all CDBG funds have to meet national objectives. They have to benefit low and moderate income persons, or they can be used to prevent the creation of slums and blight, or they can be used to meet an urgent or unmet need. Before, all applications were competitively scored, over the counter, first come, first serve, but that component has been removed. The state's kind of under the gun to kind of begin to spend this money, allocate this money. So a set-aside has been issued for applicants who have not been awarded CDBG in the past 5 NOFA cycles or Notice of Funding Availability. And the scoring system has been updated. The cities are eligible to submit an application for up to 3 activities. The activities can be a combination of any of the following. One is you can have a project like a capital project or a program or public services, or different is one project, 2 public service applications or planning applications, or third, 1 program and 2 public service or planning. Again, a project is usually a capital project, meaning like an infrastructure project, a sewer project, a street project. A program can be like a housing rehab program, a down payment assistance program. A public service is usually a service that is often provided by a nonprofit that meets some of the urgent needs in our community. They can be like like counseling for homeless people. It can be fair housing services. It can be a number of things like that. So any combination of those 3 is eligible. We cannot apply for 2 projects or 3 public services. It has to be a combination. Again, the maximum award is $3.6 million. Some of the other requirements are there's a 50% rule in effect. That is that it must have expended at least 50% of the current grant to apply again. Applications are due April 3rd, 2026, so this application process will be here in 3 weeks. We're conducting this public hearing this evening. We'll have another public hearing at the City Council meeting next week. And so really it's now an opportunity to ask the community, what type of things should we be looking at funding? Again, activities, we have public improvements, as I mentioned, public facilities. I mentioned water, sewer, streets, sidewalks, storm drainage, parks, senior center, et cetera. An application maximum for this type of project is $3.3 million. Real important, the projects must demonstrate readiness at time of application. That means that the environmental review, the cost estimates is ready to be, set out to bid. All the specs are ready to go. So that's one of the requirements to apply for project funding. Activities, I mentioned the housing programs. We talked about a housing rehabilitation program, a home ownership down payment assistance. We can use the money to pay for code enforcement, housing counseling. Another type of program is economic development programs. These are to provide financial assistance for profit businesses, micro enterprises, and technical assistance. Oftentimes the requirement is to make sure that it benefits either a low-income person, like they employ a low-income person, or a low-income community. The maximum application for this type of program is $1.5 million of the 3.5 that's set aside for each jurisdiction. And then public services, usually it's 15% of the grant. So here we're looking at a maximum allocation of $300,000. CDBG funds can be used to pay for labor, supplies, materials for eligible public services, which include homeless services, recreational services, health services, Meals on Wheels, food distribution, crime prevention, public safety. So there's a number of things. Oftentimes, the city or the local jurisdictions will work with local nonprofits that provide these services. In some cases, city services can also provide those services as well. Planning activities, $300,000 can be used for planning activities to do a comprehensive plan, a capital improvement program or plan. It can be used to provide functional plans for housing, implementation, open space, those type of things. It can be used for feasibility studies for future projects, including like water, storm drainage, master planning. That's one of the things that we'll be looking at when we move forward with our general plan update. So these are some of the activities that can be set aside for planning-related activities. Again, a maximum of $300,000. So tonight's session is a public hearing. We're inviting members of the public, and as well as the commission, to provide an opportunity to hear from the community, both online, I should say, over the phone, or here to receive comments, to close the public hearing, and provide any recommendations that the Planning Commission can see that will be of benefit to the community in using CDBG funds. That concludes my brief report. I'm happy to respond to questions, but I would encourage you to open the public hearing and see if there's any comments, and then at the end, deliberate and see if any of the commissioners have any recommendations on things that we can apply the money to.
Okay, great. Now I'll open up the public hearing on this subject. If anybody has anything to say about these funds, this would be the time. Since nobody's coming up to the podium, Martha, do we have anybody on the phone?
No. No.
And for the record, the public hearing was open and closed 7:20.
Thank you. So with that said, the commissioners have anything to say?
Yeah, I have a few questions for you, Miguel, and hopefully. So in terms of like, it seems like there's three categories, right? Projects, activities, programs, and then planning, right? In terms of like, I know water has been the talk amongst town, like we need water, right? Is there funding already allocated for, I think there was a point we were talking about the storage of water. Is there funding already allocated for that? Can you retro this and say, we're gonna use it for that? Or is it something new that is not already in the pipeline?
Those are, as I understand, that's a really good question. I don't have a firm answer for you on that. When I believe that the Public Works Department, Engineering Department, or Engineering Division have identified projects, whether it's capacity, like a storage tank or storage reservoir, or like it's a water well improvement or enhancement. It's my understanding that we have a number of those projects already identified. They've been engineered. I don't know if they're ready to be bid, so I can't speak to that. But I think a good recommendation would be if we have any projects that have been, I guess, approved. Oftentimes, in my past experience, the federal government doesn't want us to supplant existing funding. Like you say, well, we got money, well, let's just say Measure L already going to be used to a street. Then we say, we want to apply CDBG funds for that. And it's like, well, you already have that project, you already have funding for it. Now, you're just going to move this money aside. So in my experience, it would be a new project that has no funding commitment at this point. But I cannot tell you at this point which projects those are, but I think a general recommendation would be something to the effect that if there are any upcoming projects that need to be funded that can enhance our water delivery system, whether it's water treatment, a new well, or a rehabilitation of a well, or a new storage facility, something to that end, that would be a good recommendation. And again, something that's ready to be bid, it's gone through the environmental review process. Unlike the development projects that are private, which are subject to CEQA, federal projects have to do not only CEQA, they also have to do the federal environmental review, the NEPA process as well. And that's a separate, I don't want to say it's lengthier, but it's just a separate process that sometimes happens concurrently, but that should also have been done. And I don't know where we're at on those type of projects. Our engineering department would be in a position to talk about that. Again, my recommendation is suggest that the city consider any new projects that are in the pipeline that we're considering funding that would improve our water delivery service, water provision and delivery.
And then another question, I know that it says that the public services and planning maximum is 300,000. That's,
For that type of activity.
got it. And then there's only, so one, I think it says one, let's say it's a 300,000 grant and then it's done, right? Is that how?
Yes, it's a one-time funding
Got it.
allocation.
And then in terms of the programs, it's a $1.5 million. Is that one, let's say you're awarded that grant funding, is it a one-time allocation or is there like an ongoing basis, or is it split into, I know it says programs, like, housing assistance and all that stuff. Would they give it to you all at once? Or can you space that out over several years and just kind of justify what you're using it for? Or does it have to be spent in, let's say in fiscal, 26, 27 or 27, 28?
I don't know the answer for that, a firm answer for that. Again, this just came up real quick. I haven't looked at the regulations. In the past, I worked in other jurisdictions and administered the Community Development Block Grant Program. We would fund a program, and any unspent funds we can carry on to the next year. So here it can be a variety of programs. You can have, for example, Program 1, Down Payment Assistance Program. Program 2, a Housing Rehabilitation Program. Program 3, I'm thinking of a tenant-based rental assistance program where people are forced out of their property, they have nowhere to go, and so it's kind of like you're helping people find temporary housing. Or another program might be an economic development loan program to help a small business set up. And these can be loans, they can be grants, as long as they meet these three national objectives: one, that they benefit low, moderate income individuals, or they serve a low-income, moderate community, or they're for an emergency or health need. So it can be a housing program, economic development program. The last type of activity, again, is what we talk about, planning programs, and that's $300,000 there. And, I mean, my recommendation would be to use that money to pay for, like, the preparation of our master facility plans. So we'll need one for, like, the sewer, the water, the storm drain. And even we should, in my humble opinion, prepare master plans for, like, our fire just even like a recreation. So it identifies the type of things that we want for a community. And the other thing it does is it identifies the level of service that we want to have in our community, but also allows us to create, if you will, what the budget will be. So we know when new development comes in, what their proportionate share will be for, if you want to grow or develop a property, here's your proportionate share based on our facility master plan. So those are the three things: the capital projects, these programs, these activities, and the last one is public services, which are limited to $300,000. I'm sorry, I probably talked too much. It went beyond your question.
No, it's good. I like looking at the availability, like how you can break it down into one project, one program. Does that, I know it says parks for, where did it go? I think it said parks for a project, right?
Yes.
Can that be like developing, let's say, a park that's on the other side of town, continue to develop it for recreational type of use?
Yes, I can see, for example, money that can be applied to the recreation facility, the recplex, for example. Can use it to develop a park. There's different levels of development. One is like land acquisition. The other is like making on-site improvement. Another level is like playground equipment or adding additional improvements to that. So there's a variety of things. I was going to the part that has the projects here. Examples include water, sewer, street, sidewalks, storm drainage, parks, senior centers, etc. And you can put all your requests into that for the full $3.3 million. Or you can do, maybe like $2 million and then, or $2.5 million and fund other programs there, so it can be a combination.
And,
I'm sorry, I should be speaking closer to the microphone.
yeah. And April 1st, we're looking back?
April 3rd is the application date to the state. So we're trying to, I don't want to say rush this, but we're trying to do our due diligence to make sure we get as much community input and input from the, the representatives, including yourselves, on this. We will be meeting with the city council. This item is scheduled to be presented to the city council at their next meeting, and I will relay the planning commission's recommendations to them at that time.
Any other?
So with that said, I know we had a public workshop that kind of covered some of these items, that what the community wanted as priorities, like we talked about having our water infrastructure up to date and improved upon so that we can allow for incoming development. I know we talked about recreation being a big part of that also, and in making improvements to Jackie's efforts to improve her recreational location. So to me, I think those are already a good start, just talking, just because of those were already talking points in our last get together with the public. So I think, yeah, talking about fixing our water first, and then try to push everything that goes with that and recreation. So definitely in line for that. Anything else?
You're talking about the expected award announcement, September 2026. What is this?
I'm sorry, can you speak to the mic? I can hear you better that way.
Expected award announcement, September 2026.
I don't know where he's
What
looking.
is the,
No, yeah, that's for this.
after the April 3rd?
So this is when to expect the
The awarding?
awarding.
Yeah.
So we have to have our application in by that day, though. That's why we're having.
So,
No, I am talking about these.
So that's when you would expect.
Expect was September 26th. Okay.
if I understood the question, is our application is due April 3rd. It sounds like the state will award the money, I think, 7 months from then, towards the end of the year, and then we can implement that in the next calendar year.
Okay.
So do we need to identify what out of the three? That's what it seems like to me, like what out of the three paths we want to take, and then from there we need to identify, maybe like put in a bucket, what type of projects, what type of potential programs, and then what type of potential public services or planning needs.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Again, there's those three combinations there. And if you can suggest one, and then in each one you can identify some of the details. So the first combination is one project, one program, and one public service or planning. Or combination number two is one project and two public services or planning applications. Or three, one program and two public services or planning. Again, no capital projects. Now it says you cannot do two projects or three public services or three planning applications. So it's really a combination. If you want to start off with a combination, that would be helpful. If not, you can just, recommend something at your leisure here. So $3.6 million is the total. You can even say, for projects, we want to make sure we allocate, $3 million and then $300,000 for public services and $300,000 for planning services. So you can break it up. Again, this is a recommendation. It's just additional information which we're going to share to the city council. At the end of the day, we're going to take all this information and the city manager is going to move forward with an application. My understanding is they are working with a consultant named Paul Ashby that'll put this application together. And so we're trying to get as much information, and the city council will deliberate a little bit further on this at their next meeting on March 17th.
I'll make the recommendation to maybe do that, the very top, the 111.
So that's one project, one program, and one public service or
Yeah.
planning. Okay, so combination number one.
That's, do we need to kind of be all, I guess, have the consensus, or is it just thoughts at this point we're just spitting out?
I think it'd be good to have a consensus on that, and then you can kind of deliberate further on the things you would like funded.
What do you think, Jose?
Does that sound good for the whole commission? I know there's 3 members of the commission.
It's okay. Yeah, one project, one program,
One project,
yeah, one planning, yeah.
And public service.
is that a desire of the majority of the commission present?
We're talking about the top one, right? The one project,
Yeah.
one program, one public service.
Yeah.
Kind of breaks it up a little bit more even across the
Yeah,
board. give more
my
options.
my thing is, it just doesn't tie us up to our like, I guess you have the option, right? And then the council can do what, they're gonna be the ones that actually make the call anyways, so we're just not like, I'd say you leave it kind of a little bit flexible and open, so there's a little bit more.
And I think having the fact that we're gonna start with the project, because that's kind of where we're gonna, if we're gonna do water improvements, it's gonna be more in line with that regardless. And I think I agree. I think the option of giving us, the ability to go from, making the project the main focal point, and then whether we do a program of public service or a planning option, it kind of opens it up for more availability on what we can do with funding.
I would add that it would be really nice if they would allow us to fund 2 projects, but at this point, they're only allowing us to fund 1 project. Ideally, it would be good, let's fund, a project that we want to help the city's water delivery system, and then another would be like help fund the recplex, but if there's a priority, like, let's fund the recplex and forego anything for the water service. I don't know, whatever the desire of the commission is.
So I'll make that the recommendation, or I guess, I don't know if you want to say like a motion.
To go with a combination number 1?
Yeah, to
the
go
first
with
part?
number 1. I'll make that motion for that. That includes 1 project, 1 program, 1 public service or planning.
Yeah, number 1 is okay.
What was that?
Second.
Oh, you second it?
He seconded it?
Okay.
So if we're making this official, then Martha, let's get a roll call on that since we got a motion on the floor.
The motion is to go with combination number 1 of 1 project, 1 program, and 1 public service or planning activity.
Yeah, that's good.
So it was moved by Commissioner Bassi, second by Commissioner Kanda, and roll call.
Roll call. Alternate Commissioner Mohinder Kanda,
Yes,
Commissioner Steve Massey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jose Flores.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
Hey, I don't know if there's some technical difficulties with the sound. We're good? Okay. Okay.
So now would be appropriate if you want to identify a specific activity under each of these, that would be ideal. So under category 1, what project would you like the city to fund? Ideally, you want to maximize the amount of the award that we have, so it'd be like 3.3 million or 3 million. Well,
Yeah, 3.3.
is there a recommendation? I kind of heard water, I kind of heard let's look at the workshop results as far as what,
Correct, because I know we had a workshop, Planning Commissioners Council, and the public were there at large, and I think water was the biggest topic for most of our concerns in our community, is that addressing that would probably be a good priority for.
I think there's a need for some sewer improvements as well on some part of the town,
Or storm drain.
different areas of the town where,
I would like to say we can do both, but we can only choose one.
yeah. So I think, but I just don't want to be too restrictive on our end, right? So you open it up and kind of put some more in.
You can say your
bucket.
preference would be water than sewer? Sewer projects?
I would,
Water, sewer, storm. I
yeah.
think that kind of falls in line with a lot of the things that we need to address.
So I guess that could be the priority if you're going to want to go water, sewer, storm, and then parks. And we'll just say if collectively, if we're good with that, and we can get a motion, but in that order.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that fell in line along with, or like I said, we mentioned before, with our last workshop is very, very much similar to that, because that was most of the discussion. You agree? Yeah.
Do we need to make a motion for? And then we can just, let's say we're tackled the projects.
Yeah, let's do it that way so we can track things better. Martha stepped away from the dais, but if I hear that, I'll just repeat what the motion might be. It would be a motion for the project-related activities to consist in priority would be water, sewer, storm drainage, and park projects that have been identified with the city that are in line with the city's recent workshop and goals and visioning priorities. Does that sound right?
Sounds correct.
So there's a motion and a second, then we can do the,
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor?
I'll make that motion.
And then I'll second the motion. Or I'll second the motion.
okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Steve Bassi, second by Commissioner Jose Flores. Is everything good? We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Can we take a short minute break, a 5-minute break?
Sure, we'll take a
And we'll come back to
5-minute recess for
Just give
technical difficulties.
time, I guess.
Well, we'll return at 1946.